Good morning, beloveds. Okay, it is Easter. So first off, I will wish you happy Easter. And then we will deal with the fact that it is April 17th. Our title is Treatment That Works. Our first quote is, "But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering, for he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea driven with the wind and tossed." James 1:6. The reason that we do not demonstrate more easily is that the subjective state of our thoughts is too often neutralized by the objective state, though often this is an unconscious process of thought. And that is the Science of Mind 119. When a spiritual treatment fails to produce the desired results, we have to remember that it probably wasn't the law that failed. It was the person using the law. One of the most common mistakes we make is to neutralize our words of faith by words of failure. One thing people often find difficult to demonstrate is a greater material prosperity. They make fine affirmations such as money is God in action, and then complain about the prices these days, commenting that some guys are just lucky. Look at that house of his. Well, it's not a matter of luck, and until you heal yourself of envy, you won't be having the money for a better house. If the prices are high, the income will be too, for those who stop saying unpleasant things about money and start blessing every dollar that passes through their hands. If you believe that it is right and good to be prosperous, then give yourself treatments for the acceptance of your total good and include the material things of life because they are good. And watch what you say outside of your treatments, for it is there that your beliefs are revealed. It is done unto us as we really believe, not just as we say we believe. I am grateful for everything I have. I enjoy my possessions, but I am not possessed by them. I enjoy prosperity, and I am glad to spend as freely as I receive. I share what I have, and I always have more than enough to share. For its right and good use, I bless all that I have, all that I receive, and all that I give. And that is Craig Carter at CC. I'm starting to learn the writers here. And there was a line in there. There's actually several lines in here that were really good, but there was a line in that treatment. I enjoy my possessions, but I am not possessed by them. And that is the very definition of Buddhist attachment. Buddhists say that attachment is suffering. And one of the things that I came to conclude is that Buddhists they teach non-attachment. And it isn't that you're not going to have stuff, because you're going to have stuff. You are a spiritual being having a material existence in a material reality. So you are going to have stuff. I mean, this right here, this is stuff. And so one of the things and that's where the fear of death comes in, because you become attached to this, thinking that this is what you are. Well, it's the same thing with the rest of your possessions. You will suffer based on your level of attachment. And that's how we are with people. When we get attached to people, when they are no longer in our lives, we suffer. Which is why I like to say, choose your attachment wisely. And because it's going to be really hard not to suffer in this life. I'm not sure that it's not possible. I think I said that right. Because you are going to have loved ones, and you're going to have stuff that you loved. And when you lose that stuff for whatever reasons, because sometimes stuff just wears out, you are going to suffer from that. But I guess I almost want to say the trick is, but it's not a trick. What you have to do is not be possessed by your possessions. And you will suffer less. The person who can give away anything to another who, when they are asked, has learned that lesson. And they probably demonstrate a remarkable amount of prosperity in that they give and receive, and that because it's reciprocal. And there's this concept of reciprocity. What you give, you receive. And that works with everything. So we've talked previously about, in fact, I think it was yesterday, about our garden and about weeding our garden. And so there's a couple of concepts here that we want to weed in our garden. First off is attachments. It's not that you can't have stuff. Buddhists don't teach that you can't have stuff. Buddhists teach that the level of attachment to your stuff is what is going to create your suffering. And they're not saying not to get attached. They're just saying, please be aware that the more attached you are, the more suffering you have the potential to create. Okay? So you want to be, so as I like to say, pick your attachments wisely. So I have a 17-year-old cat. I'm very attached to this cat. He doesn't have much time left. I'm already suffering and I still have him. Would I change it? No. But he's not a possession. Stuff is a possession. And that's where we can get into trouble. Okay, so let's go back to the other concept of weeding our garden, because
surprise!
He talked specifically about envy. And right now, it's interesting that we're going to have this quick discussion about complaining about prices. Because right now, with what is going on in the world, between the pandemic, and I'm going to have to silence that, maybe, between the pandemic, supply chain issues, workforce issues, and inflation and the war in Ukraine, then the prices are going up. And so we are listening to people complain about the prices. And right here, he's saying, don't do that. Don't complain about the prices. And it's not because he's not acknowledging that prices are going up. It's because when you complain about them, those are weeds in your garden. They affect your mental state. They affect your prosperity consciousness. They affect your faith. They affect your belief. And he even nails us here. That last line, it is done unto us as we really believe, not just as we say we believe. Sorry. I got a cat who's a firm believer that she just, she can have that snack, even though it wasn't meant for her. So, okay. So those are the weeds that we were talking about yesterday. Envy is a weed. Complaining about prices is a weed. Complaining about anything is a weed. And that's where that level of blessing every dollar that we give out, nobody enjoys paying bills. But I did find that when I started to bless the bills when I paid them and think of the good that they were going to do, it made it easier. It made it more, I was practicing gratitude. And so he's giving you the same advice. Okay, so treatment that works. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave on the sea, driven by the winds and tossed. James 1:6. Go read it. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what it's about. I commend it to you. Go read a few lines before, a few lines after. But that's what he's saying. If you waver in your faith, of course you're going to get tossed. Of course you're going to get, hold fast. Hold rock steady. Believe. Don't complain. Acknowledge but don't complain. There is a difference. And you know what I'm talking about. The reason that we do not demonstrate more easily is that the subjective state of our thought is too often neutralized by the objective state, i.e., complaining. Though often this is an unconscious process of thought, which is why it's important to be aware of the trend of our thoughts. Each individual thought is not necessarily important because we're all going to have that moment. We're all going to go, oh my God, can you believe this? That's not the problem. It's when we've got a lot of those. An occasional, oh my God, can you believe this is not the problem. It's when every other thought is, oh my God, can you believe this? Okay, so that's from The Science of Mind, page 119. The trend of your thoughts. I talk about that a lot. When a spiritual treatment fails to produce the desired result, we have to remember it probably wasn't the law that failed. Now, I like that he says it probably wasn't the law that failed, because occasionally the law will fail when we ask for something that is not in alignment with the law. And again, the law didn't fail us. It's us failing to use the law correctly. It was the person using the law, which is what the next line is. Okay. And there's multiple ways that we can misuse the law. One of them being asking for things out of alignment. One of them is limiting the law too much. When we are super specific that it's got to be this one, like we decide we want a car and we give the Spirit a specific VIN number, Spirit's going to go, that's not how I work. But, and here's the next line, one of the most common mistakes we make is to neutralize our word of faith by words of failure. We complain. We uproot our treatment by the next words that follow right after we've done the treatment. Why treat for something and then immediately after the treatment is done go, but I'm not worthy? What's the point of doing the treatment? Because you just neutralized your treatment. So before you do your treatment, maybe you need to treat on your worthy issue first and then do the treatment for what you want. It shows us where the words that follow after we do a treatment or someone does a treatment for us can absolutely show us where our work is to be done. Okay. One thing people often find difficult to demonstrate is a greater material prosperity. They make fine affirmations such as money is God in action, and then complain about the prices these days, commenting that some guys are just lucky. Look at that house of his. Money is God in action. Money isn't real. Money is an agreement. Money is an energy. And yet then we turn around and he's definitely pinning it right there on envy. Well, it is not a matter of luck, and until you heal yourself of envy, you won't be having the money for a better house. He's a little on the nose here. If prices are high, then income will be too. For those who stop saying unpleasant things about money and start blessing every dollar that passes through their hands. Okay. Income, what have you, inflation, let's lay that aside for the moment, because that is a whole separate argument that we can have, and that is a whole separate social justice argument that we could have. But that's not the point here. The point is blessing every dollar that passes through our hands. When we can trade complaining for gratitude, it will go a long way towards settling our mental state to encouraging a prosperous attitude, a prosperous consciousness. And when we are encouraging that prosperous consciousness, one, it will open our concept of prosperity up beyond money. Okay? But it also just makes things easier when we realize all of the good that money does and why holding on to money doesn't help anybody. If you believe that it is right and good to be prosperous, then give yourself treatments for the acceptance of your total good and include the material things of life because they are good. At no time have we ever said to live the life of the aesthetic. Buddha did not say to live the life of the aesthetic. He tried that and went, yeah, there's got to be a middle way. There's got to be a middle way. You can have your stuff, but don't let your stuff have you. And watch what you say outside of your treatments, for it is there that your beliefs are revealed. Truth. Because frequently what we say right after a treatment, or an hour later, or a day later, or when we go grocery shopping, reveals what we really believe. And that's where that last line is. It is done unto us as we really believe, not just as we say we believe. We can say all the fine words in the world in a treatment, but if we don't actually believe it in our mind and our heart. So, our treatment, I'm grateful for everything I have. I enjoy my possessions, but I am not possessed by them. I enjoy prosperity, and I am glad to spend as freely as I receive. And I like that he says this, I'm glad to spend as freely as I receive, because he's saying, I'm not spending more than I have. I am spending as I receive. I share what I have, and I always have more than enough to share. For its right and good use, I bless all that I have, all that I receive, and all that I give. So here's my suggestion for the mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to bless all that we have for its right and good use. And it's that right and good use that makes me go, there it is. Because money isn't meant to be possessed. Money is meant to be used. And it is meant to be used rightly and, I'm about to use this word, goodly. Rightly and goodly. Just as everything else is. So don't let your possessions possess you. Bless your bills as you pay them. Bless the good that they're going to do. Bless the people's salary that they're going to pay so that they are going to be able to go home and put food on their table and clothes on their backs and roofs over their head. That is right and good use. All right. That's the mission. That's the mission. It's prosperity's kind of sneaky in that because it is about attitude. And the more open your attitude to prosperity is, the more prosperity you have, because you see the wider possibility. So, the law will never fail you. Say what you believe and believe what you say. All right, that's the mission for today. But it is Easter and I need to go eat breakfast so that I can get to the service. Ooh, yeah, I'm running behind today. So I can get to the service because we're going to have a fantastic Easter service for you on that. There are words. We are going to have a fantastic Easter service for you. We are on the 3rd week of the heroic journey. So, and I got to go get my notes ready so I can write mine for next week because I get the pleasure of bringing you home. All right, beloveds. The other thing that I always suggest is to do something loving for yourself, to do something kind for yourself, to do something compassionate for yourself, whatever that looks like. I encourage it every day. Default habit, default setting, first response. You deserve your own love, your own kindness, your own compassion. So take 3 deep breaths, take a nap, go for a walk, enjoy that cup of coffee, whatever it is, do it for yourself. Because if you can do it for yourself, you can do it for anybody. You know this. I believe this. And I believe in you. All right. I also encourage you to do something to engage your mind and your body, unless it is your day of rest, because today is my day of rest. I still got to get my back moving though, so I'm going to engage my body a little bit. I encourage you to get some bright light early in your day. If it's cloudy like it is here, because it might rain today, bright light, doesn't have to be sunshine, but sunshine is good, vitamin D. Drink plenty of water and open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you, you do live in heaven right here, right now. It is all around you all the time. It's a state of consciousness, a state of mind, which means it is accessible to you all the time. And sometimes all it takes is 3 deep breaths. Other times it takes looking for the good and praising it. All right. If you want to know what's going on for sure with us, email info@creativelife.org and get on that constant contact. That way you will always know what's going on, even when I don't, even though I do know today is Easter. Beyond that, we've got fantastic book studies going on all the time. There are classes in the offerings, including Jesse's been teaching classes through home office, and those are fantastic because then you get people from across the globe, not just across the country. The class that I took just to see what it was like, we had somebody from South Africa and New Zealand. It was great. All right, beloveds. Take care of yourself. Know that you're loved. Have a great day, a fantastic day, an amazing day, an enchanting day, a sun day, an Easter day, an egg hunting day, a chocolate day. My favorite thing about Easter, chocolate. A peeps day, if you're into that. A good day. If that is too much pressure, simply have a day because you are enough just as you are. All right, beloveds. Reverend David will be on around 5 p.m. with you. I'll be back with you at 9 a.m. But before that, we're going to have an amazing Easter service for you with the third step, or the third part of the heroic journey. Depending on who you talk to, we can have as few as 7 steps and as many as 12. And if you're looking at the major arcana, there's 21 cards, but some of those cards are events and people. So, All right, beloveds, take care of yourself. Know that you're loved, and I will see you next time.